doubleheader last night. And the other thing about doing this show on the day after a doubleheader, you get to pick which game was better. And the game that was better was the game that we shared quotes from at the top of the program, the Raiders at the Browns. It didn't look like it was going to be very good. The Raiders were up 10-0. There was just kind of this slow suffocation. The Browns couldn't do anything.
Seemed like it.
The Browns, under Nick Mullins, 49ers, you could have kept him. Why you want Trey Lance when you can have Nick Mullins? And I'm being sarcastic. But Nick Mullins and the Browns got it done and made it interesting. Let's hear a little bit from the Browns. It was a rough week for them. You had no head coach.
It was.
Mike Prefer took over for Kevin Stefanski. You had Nick Mullins signed off the street to play quarterback. And then you had some of your guys that were always going to be there who helped make a difference, like a Nick Chubb. Here's some sound from the Browns after last night's second loss.
It really hurts. I mean, it was so cool. The stadium was rocking. Like I really believed in the fourth quarter this night was destined for Cleveland. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that.
At the end of the day, I was very, very, very proud of the effort fighting through the adversity that we had this week. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody made excuses, and we went out there and fought hard. That locker room right now is hurting, and that's the most I've seen it in that kind of pain. You know, you're upset when you lose. Obviously, you're joyous when you win, but when you lose that type of game, that one's tough. And, you know, they're pretty down right now.
Games like that, you'd rather lose by 40 than lose by 1 and lose by 3 seconds with a field goal. So, I mean, it's tough. At the end of the day, I mean, it's over with now, so we got to keep moving forward. We still have a chance. Everything's ahead of us, and we got to learn from this and keep going.
I'm glad Nick Chubb said that. I've felt that way for years. That when you put in the 3 hours and you have your heart ripped out at the end, it's so much better to just know in the first quarter that it's over than to invest that much time and that much worry and that much stress and have it ripped from you at the end of the game. And for the Browns, the consequences couldn't have been more significant between winning and losing, between Daniel Carlson making or missing the second try from 48 after the first one was nullified by a timeout. Because if the Browns had won, if Carlson misses that kick, the Browns are in first place after 15 weeks. Carlson makes it, Chris, and the Browns are in last place at 7-7. It's amazing. After 14 games played by all teams, every team in the AFC North is at or above 500.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. It is. And, of course, they got a short week. They got the Green Bay Packers on Christmas. I mean, that's not going to be an easy task. I mean, that was a big one for the Browns last night. I give them a lot of, credit. The effort was unreal. It was. I mean, the circumstances they were up against, certainly not easy. I mean, just kind of gutting it out in the football game. Again, like you said, early on, it was just like, oh, man, this doesn't look good. Derek Carr's just going to pick them apart, and they're going to slowly just whittle away the Cleveland Browns football team here, and we're kind of going to get bored to death with 8 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards. I mean, wow. I kept going, man, it's got to be on Cleveland. Cleveland's run game, their defense to carry the load or make the play to help the football team out, and eventually the defense did that. Getting the big fumble the sack strip fumble on Derek Carr, that changed the football game a little bit and made it competitive. The Raiders kind of kept letting Cleveland hang around, even though you felt like they were the better team and had control, and then that turnover changed the game completely. And I mean, man, yeah, it's heartbreaking, like you said, Cleveland. Yes, it is. We know that. It was a fun game to watch. Derek Carr was this close to being like the GOAT in a bad way, really was, but he rebounded with a clutch performance. But, yeah, I mean, again, I don't know, Mike. I guess what I want to say is, Cleveland, I respect them. They got talent. I like what they did. I don't know if they can get in. I don't know. It's going to be tough here down the stretch. And I look at the Raiders, and again, respect factor is real there, right? They've gone through a lot of adversity, but I don't want to see them in the playoffs this year either. I was torn watching the game yesterday. I don't want to see them in the playoffs. I mean, I respect Rich Bisaccia, what they went through with Gruden, all of that, the Henry Ruggs situation. But, man, I mean, are they really a playoff football team? I don't know about that. And then Cleveland, of course, I do think has playoff talent, but is fighting through COVID adversity. But I give a lot of respect to them from last night. Nick Mullins, he was gutty, gritty, I guess is what I want to say. And it was a fun game to watch. But ultimately, I think the team that was better last night won the football game, even though it was, gut-wrenching from the Browns.
COVID adversity or not, they should not have been 7-6 going into that game. They have underachieved this year.
That's the point.
They are not the team that everyone expected them to be. And this is the every other year phenomenon for the Browns. One year, the expectations are high, and they fail. Dropping the expectations the following year, and they thrive. Raising the expectations for the following year, and they fail. And they're on this yo-yo cycle now because you know what's going to happen next year. Oh, the Browns stunk last year. And the reality is there are a lot of good teams in the AFC. Can we put that graphic up again?
Yeah.
I understand why you don't want the Raiders in the playoff field. All due respect, Raiders fans, there are too many good teams for a team that's kind of marginal.
That's what
has
I'm
some
with
moments,
you. Exactly.
but loses too many games and wakes up too late in other games. You take all those 7 I'm sorry, if you're 7-7, other than the Dolphins who have won 6 in a row, if you're 7-7, stand down, go away. But the problem is they're still very much alive. And Chris, look at what's happened. I'm telling you, that tie against the Lions, look, there they are. I know they got tough 3 games, but they're creeping up. And it's the ultimate way to leapfrog all the 7-7 teams. And at the end of the day, it could be that it's the way to leapfrog the 10-7 teams. I know the Steelers got 3 tough games to finish the season, but 10-6-1, because I think there is going to be a traffic jam of 10-7 teams in the AFC, and it's going to come down to tiebreakers, and some are going to get in, and some are going to go home, and it's not going to be very satisfying because you say, I had the same record as a team that got a ticket to the postseason party, and there's going to be like 6 teams that are 10-7, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, it is the way it is. Not all records are created equal, too. There is something to, like, hey, the teams you lost to, the teams you beat, there is something to that. There's no doubt. I mean, again, if you want to throw that graphic up there, yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot of teams there right now that are underwhelming. Don't really know if I really want them there. I look at the top 8 teams and go, I just want 7 out of those top 8 teams to go. With the Ravens being that 8th team there. That to me is the playoffs. Now I know Pittsburgh's dangerous. The Raiders, it's a great story. Cleveland, they got talent, but they underachieved. The Dolphins on fire. But I always root for the top 7 teams or the top teams to make the playoffs. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me the 7 teams from the AFC.
Right.
If you were the NCAA selection committee, who are the 7 teams you would want in?
Well, to me right now, we got like the 7 for this. I like 6 out of the 7 for sure. The team I go back and forth with is the Chargers and the Ravens. I tend to lean more towards the Ravens than the Chargers, but won't be mad if either one of them get in because I do at least think they're certainly in the top 8 conversation. But, yeah, that's the only difference I would throw out there. I'd rather see the Ravens. I think they make the playoffs better. I don't know how good the Chargers are. I'd like analytics to fall on its face a little bit. I kind of like that after last Thursday. So there's a part of me, as much as I love Justin Herbert and was one of his biggest fans, it's not personal to him. I'd rather see the Ravens get in, Lamar Jackson and the big bad Ravens.
Oh, because they do know analytics.
Well, their analytics is annoying too. Trust me, I know. It's annoying as well. But there's something about them in the playoffs, I guess, that I like better than the Chargers is what I'm saying.
I'll agree with you on the Ravens.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you on the Ravens. And I'm going to do is really disappoint myself because I would be eliminating my preseason Super Bowl winner. I would say kick the Bills to the curb because they've had their chances to be the team they were supposed to be, and they've failed. They weren't very good on Sunday against the Panthers.
No, they weren't.
I would take – and I thought about wiping out the Bengals, but you know what? I want Joe Burrow in. See, if we were picking the teams and we could – and it's just our choice, I'm thinking – who are the quarterbacks that are going to make this spicy?
Sure.
Joe Burrow makes it spicy. Justin Herbert makes it spicy. And I know Josh Allen does as well, but he doesn't have anybody around him right now.
No, I know.
And I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't want to be frustrated for 3 hours when the Bills lose their wild card game thinking, why did I let this team in here? So, yeah, I would go with everybody who's in, but I would swap out the Bills for the Ravens, and who knows, that may be how it plays out. Now, for the Browns, we mentioned them earlier. They do have the short week and the trip to Lambeau Field, which is not good. They follow that with a trip to Pittsburgh on Monday night, which will be Ben Roethlisberger's final home game. Good luck with that. And then they have to go to Baltimore, where the Ravens quite possibly will need to win in order to get in. Good luck with that. The Browns are – oh, wait, they have the Bengals.
Yeah, you're mixed up. You're mixed up. You're right.
I mixed up. I mixed up Steelers and Bengals.
Right.
But they got the Bengals to finish the season. Now, they've already destroyed the Bengals in Cincinnati, but with the Bengals, you do not know what you're going to get. It is truly a coin flip every week with the Bengals. So, I could see the Browns go 1-2. I could see them go 2-1. They could go 0-3 down the stretch.
They could.
We just don't know. And a lot of it's how they react to this one. Because if they go to Lambeau on Christmas Day and get destroyed, they may lose the final two. That may be the point where they fold the tents and go home.
Yeah, well, I'd have a hard time thinking. I mean, I'm picking Green Bay. I know that. Again, respect for Cleveland. But, man, you had a bunch of guys who didn't really get to practice last week. Now you're on a 4-day work week here, or, what is it, 5 days? Got to play Saturday in Green Bay. Packers are playing for #1 seed. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good. Myles Garrett looked like he pulled his groin somewhere in the early fourth quarter last night. Wouldn't think that bodes well for him playing this weekend. That's tough. I mean, there's things to respect about the Cleveland Browns football team. But, even as you look at it last night, hey, we know Nick Chubb's the man. But passing game, I know Nick Mullins was in there. But really, how good is it going to be? We saw when it was at full health, it wasn't always that great. And Jarvis Landry's out. What's his status going to be? I mean, I guess there's just question marks across the board with the Cleveland Browns really right now. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. Again, give him credit for hanging around last night. I really do. But man, I mean, for a team as talented as they are, for us sitting here 7-on-7, 3 weeks left, and the fact that they might not get in, to me, would be one of the surprising stories if you told me that before the year to go, man, Cleveland might not get in the playoffs. They're 7-on-7. I'd go, what? What? With that roster? Really? I mean, that would be one of the shocking things to me if you told me that before the season.
You mentioned Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
He missed the game because he's on COVID reserve. Most of those guys should be back.
They should be back, right? Yeah.
By Saturday.
Right.
I mean, the whole purpose of Thursday's dramatic change to the COVID protocol was to enhance and accelerate the process of getting back to the point where, they thought maybe they had a chance to get Baker Mayfield back yesterday. He tweeted out on Sunday he's got no symptoms. He's hoping for a negative test. And my understanding was that the Browns' attitude was we're getting ready with the guys we have. Anybody we get is a bonus. I think they ultimately got Josh Johnson back.
Yeah.
But other than that, or John Johnson back, different position altogether. But John Johnson made it back. But, the rest of them should be back by Saturday. Myles Garrett looked like he had a groin injury there or an LA Lakers injury, but it looked more like a groin pull.
Right.
And now we'll have to keep an eye on whether or not he's impacted because you got that quick turnaround. You got the Monday to Saturday. And this is one of the realities of shifting the games around. And that's going to be one of the challenges as well when it is time to start propping up extra windows throughout the week, making sure that players have enough time to rest and recover so they can turn around and have a meaningful game. But that's what's got to hurt the Browns. They gave everything they had with who they had to try to win that game, and they lost it, and now they have to pick up the pieces and go to Lambeau Field on Christmas. It's one of those things that it looked kind of fun and neat when the schedule came out, and now if you're the Browns, you got to be dreading this one. Of all places to go on Christmas Day to Lambeau Field, after what happened last night and after everything they've been through, just the excitement and the wonder of the opportunity, it's got to feel like they're marching to the gallows on this one.
Yeah,
and it's going to be for Kevin Stefanski to overcome that vibe in the locker room.
You're right. But I mean, again, as talented as they are, if they want to show that they're a playoff team or be a playoff team, these are the type of wins they're going to have to get. And they don't have a lot of them this year. I mean, that's, plain and simple. There's not a lot of, marquee wins that came out of Cleveland this year. So, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding. There's no doubt about it. Again, it's hard to criticize Cleveland last night for what they did. They did a lot of good. They really are. I was disappointed as the game was going along, I understand they're missing a few guys on defense, but man, it was on the defense to me to make a play, do some things. They did that. They kind of delivered. The run game, Nick Chubb, man, it was off to a slow start. It finally got going in the fourth quarter. So I don't know, but they better get hot here down the stretch. It just is a weird game altogether. You came away going, I'm actually more impressed with Cleveland and their gritty effort, minus almost 20 guys on the football field. And then we're not even talking about the team that won the game because we're going, I mean, they were at full strength, and then they barely beat that Cleveland team. That's underwhelming too. It was a weird game. It's a weird game to talk about this morning. It's a weird game to break down in general. It really is. It's weird because there's no, like, glaring storyline to go with. It's just like, hey, Browns, good job fighting hard with Nick Mullins. And Raiders, way to get a win against a C- team on the road. What the hell were you doing? Why did you have to kick a game-winning field goal with no time left to win it? So it really is odd. I find myself almost at a struggle to kind of explain or break down interesting things of the game. You know me. I'm never light on, like, talking or having an opinion about a football game. But it was kind of one of those where it's like, yeah, what you saw is what you got. I don't know if there was any other underlying storylines to the game or anything like that. It's a weird one last night. It really was.
Well, some games with exciting finishes are exciting start to finish. And some games are just kind of a slog through 2.5, 3 quarters, and then they find their groove unexpectedly, which makes them memorable. And this one found its groove late.
Right.
And early on it was just kind of like, oh, boy, what's really going on here? But it did get exciting. And you mentioned the Browns' schedule this year. I'm scrolling through their wins and their losses. Their signature win was 41-16 at Cincinnati, Week 9.
Right.
That's the one that stands out. That's the one where we thought, oh, boy, maybe they have begun to figure this out. They beat the Vikings in Minnesota in Week 4. Right. That one, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. I think they said last night the Vikings currently have a 31% chance of making it to the postseason. Yeah. So, and beating the Ravens on Sunday night. Was it Sunday night? It wasn't Sunday night. It was last Sunday afternoon. They lost on Sunday night 16-10 in Baltimore, and then 2 weeks later they won 24-22 after they had that lead and almost blew it. I think the one win that stands out is at Cincinnati.
I think
that one has a chance to get neutralized in Week 18 when they play the Bengals again. So
yeah, the Ravens game, Lamar got hurt. The Broncos game, Teddy Bridgewater, no, I'm mixed up there. That wasn't that game. I'm mixed up. Teddy Bridgewater played throughout that football game, but didn't play great.
It's still the Broncos. I
it's
know
the Broncos.
are
Exactly
7-7,
right.
But it's not a signature win.
No, that's the point. I mean, you really look through it. They beat the teams for the most part that you thought they'd beat. And the Bengals game was the one where you went, oh, they're in Cincinnati. I don't know if they'll do that. And they dominated the football game. You're right. That's the marquee game of the year, at least in my opinion. And that's what's kind of, again, underwhelming, disappointing about the Browns altogether. It is. It just the defense is a little underwhelming in my opinion. They kind of feast on the poor. They dominate the bad offenses in football. The good offenses in football seem to move the ball fine on them and score, and always score enough to win a football game. The offense is all over the place. Doesn't matter who's quarterback. Running game's okay, maybe consistent, but the passing game, we've talked about that. Yeah, there's just issues in Cleveland altogether. I don't know if they're really a playoff quality football team when you really break it down, and I think there's other teams that are more deserving.
But it's basically the same team that it was last year.
That's what's crazy.
And I understand that if you stagnate, sometimes you drop. And not having Odell Beckham Jr. and, if they just would have found a way to work it out with him and have that threat in the offense and open things up underneath and make it easier to run the ball. If you're going to stack up against the run, we're going to find Odell Beckham Jr. over the top. Look, there's got to be a hell of a story to tell on all the push and pull and the back and forth behind the scenes regarding Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr., and some of that's creeping out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.